Okay, so sorry for missing the first couple of rounds, but we are in it. So we have Dzemp and Sauron. Very cool, very cool. Dzemp started Sabertooth Specialist. Looks like he's already sold one of the sabers off. Standard, we got a Shield Airdrop coming in, Stormcaller. Sauron looks to have also started with a Saber, probably Saber Arclight. And, Fortified Specialist for Sauron. Alright, let's quickly catch up on what's happening here. Looks like Dzemp's Arclights are struggling a little bit. Look at getting stuck on the Saber there. However, on the right-hand side, they're slowly pushing through to the tower. Missile Interceptor did help out Sauron here a fair bit in the push. So it looks like it's a long-range crossfire, as it were. Uh-oh. Looks like that was a fast enough lock. And Dzemp Saber. Sauron's is probably going to clean this up now. Okay. No speed up. It looks to be just a server thing, because we came into the game partway through. Okay, Marksman picked up for Dzemp, and that was Wasp for Sauron from the round 4 unit drop. How much damage did these storms do? 20k? That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. So it looks like Sauron doesn't actually run anti-missile on the sabers. Makes sense then why they would favor an anti-missile device. Although, I have seen players, do like the one clicking anti-missile on the sabers versus one single Stormcaller, and that's always seemed a little premature to me. Like, that's... But, I mean, if you're not planning on doing anything else with the sabers, yeah. Alright. Third saber added for Sauron. Like, he still kept Chungus up. Second Stormcaller for Dzemp, really overwhelming just the single anti-missile device. And it looks like these marks aren't going to be enough, along with the fangs earlier, to handle all of these wasps. Very cool. So Dzemp getting his own little stab in on Sauron. Okay, Dzemp with the skip. I don't know if any of these cards look particularly tempting. Alright. Dzemp has 1/1 coming in. Range picked up on the Arclights for Sauron, as well as the Sabers, so it looks like they are wanting to continue playing a Saber game, at least for a bit. Beacon Crawler, just to dodge out some missiles, intercept the first couple of volleys. Well, not intercept, but distract, right? Temp Range picked up for Sauron already here on round 5. Sabers aren't the longest range units in the world, so they can definitely need any help they can get. It's like crawler flank was established in the bottom left for Sauron. They're adding another crawler on the right now. Crawlers on the right doing a fair bit, but the ones on the left got cleaned up really quickly by that arc light. I'd imagine Dzemp will just add another arc light on the right, and then just these solo crawler flanks aren't going to accomplish a lot. They're going to help set up for some stronger flanks later, if Sauron wants to. Yeah. Well, with the addition of the range and the extra saber on the right, Sauron's just crushing the round. Absolutely crushing. Okay. Unit drops are in. Dzemp picking up the Fire Badgers. Sauron grabbing the Rhinos. See if he adds those onto the flanks, or maybe just a cell over 2 rounds. Dzemp going for an oil play. Should be nice and helpful. Okay, Sauron just adding the Rhinos into their own backline. Having Rhinos in the backline is always a real nice feeling, especially Rhino Wasp. There's no flank that can really threaten Sauron now, at least, you know, at least in 1 round. Rhino drops coming in defensively for both players. That Arclight was added on the right for Dzemp. Interesting. So beaconing the Fire Badgers back, wants to get the light and then just bail. Makes sense. If you can get the light quite reliably, you know, why actually sack the Fire Badgers? May as well keep them. Looks like Dzemp's going to be losing their Mustang pack in the bottom right. How unfortunate. Sauron matching the 1-1 for upgrades. Let's see if this oil does get lit. Oh no. Are the Fire Badgers actually going to be able to light it? Or did Dzemp cook a little, just a little too much? There's no light there. Still a slow though, which the Stormcallers are going to really appreciate. Still, overall, Sauron's crushing through another very convincing round. This is going to be a lot of damage. Dzemp is getting at 1100. It is not a comfortable position, round 6. Ooh, very instant click on the Ion for both players. I mean, arguably it and Lightning Storm, strongest spells in the game. So, both these Ions make a lot of sense to me. Just gonna completely obliterate Dzemp's storms, and meanwhile Sauron's pretty much his entire right flank is going down. Armor was picked up on the Rhinos. I believe that was last round and I missed it. It might have been this round, sorry. Level 3 Saber coming in. Big boy. I believe Dzemp has picked up +2 attack. They have. Yeah, and still just 1-1 for Sauron. Sauron's been sitting on his money a while, definitely taking time to think here. I'm just clicking a couple of unit upgrades. Pulling that level 3 Saber back, it looks like Sauron is expecting the Ion on the left-hand side, or... Makes sense, it's stronger side, but... Only 1 shield for Dzemp here. I'm worried that they're still going to lose most of their Stormcallers to this. 10... Alright, regen picked up on the Sabers. Dzemp doesn't have a lot of high tempo DPS Right, it's mostly just the marksman and the stormcallers, which had nice big gaps, so regen makes sense. Yeah, all the stormcallers getting taken out by that ion. However, Sauron's right side also falling. These marksmen are just really struggling to get through these beefy units. And Regen Saber is level 3 over here is essentially invincible. And Sauron's going to take another round. That's not game, but... You know, Dzemp is... Wait, it is game! Oh, lordy. Okay. Thank you for joining me bright and early on this Sunday morning. I hope you are all at least as awake as I am, if not more so. And we are into Game 2. Alright, we'll see if both of these players go for standard again. Dzemp in general seems to love standard play, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for it. Although none of these specs are incredible in standard. Training spec makes sense. Decent hit, decent health pool. Crawlers are always useful, and I mean, hey, you know, we've seen a bunch of these 401 games where they're actually playing sabers in standard. Quick supply with balls and hounds for Sauron. Alright. Dzemp just buying more crawlers. Interestingly, not going for Chaff Clayer. In my mind, this suggests they're looking more towards a Vulcan play. But we'll have to see where they go with that. Already sold the Chungus off in the center. Center turrets often seem pretty safe to sell off. Don't often seem to get the most accomplished. Alright, I'm being more finicky than I need to with the map. And it looks like we're gonna be getting another bit of a long-range crossfire. Is there a name for this? Like, crossfire is usually used with, like, the double aggro setup where one person's on the left, one person's on the right. Is there a separate name for this, like, standard crossfire? Whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm worrying about it intensely. Alright. We're in this. Crawler's picked up for Sauron. Makes sense. You know, I'd have to give Sauron the edge for this round, just having a Chaff Clear unit established, but... Round 1's gonna be weird. And... We'll see. We'll see. See how much stall these dogs in the left can do for Sauron. Doesn't seem to be too much. Took out a pack and a bit of crawlers. And there's the turret swap happening. So, second turret popped first for Sauron, but they get hung up a little bit on the wall. Balls do make it in, though, so even through the debuff, yeah, it should be a crushing round for Sauron. So, curious to see what Dzemp's plan is here, moving forward. Ooh, shield airdrop, instant clicked. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw shield airdrop from Sauron as well. Although, you know, people have been talking about Fortified Overlord, maybe a little slept on, and the skip is in. I don't think I've actually played Fortified Overlord yet, although I've been playing Overlord fairly infrequently, so... Have I seen it? I don't know if I've seen it either. I don't see Overlords that often in general, at least where I'm at. You know, I don't know, people don't seem to favor him too much. Every once in a while. But Wasp coming in for Sauron. Fangs for Dzemp. So it doesn't look like he... Yeah, like still not actually looking to solve the Chaff Clear problem. Saber getting sold. Marksman unlocked. Range coming in for the Hounds for Sauron, so they're wanting to continue down that line. Dzemp holding 400 in the bank. This has to be a Vulcan round 3, right? Nothing else is making sense to me. And this shield airdrop is going to buy a little bit of time. I'm worried it's just going to die without accomplishing much of anything, right? Because like last round, the balls got to the turret with nothing there. So they should just be able to power through the shield. There's now enough noise on the left side of Sauron's board that this, yeah, Saber Push just isn't even getting through to tower. Well, shield airdrop will at least come back up in a couple of rounds. But, yeah, Sauron off to a solid early lead. Let's see if the skip and presumably a Vulcan is going to come in. Quick teleport and intensive, both options for Sauron. We'll have to see what they go. And I believe that was 2 Vulcans from Dzemp. One getting the experience, but doesn't quite have the money to level it. Looks like he sold his last Saber off. Hopefully, with some actual chaff clear, Dzemp might be able to, you know, actually have a chance this round. Intensive training picked up for Sauron, leveling a new pack of balls. So they are wanting to continue down that line. Sauron floating 150. Have to imagine it's another pack of crawlers. Maybe another dog? Yeah. Yep, just spreading those dogs across the map. I'm curious what this missile is going to hit for Dzemp on the right. I'm suspecting it gets a pack of dogs and a pack of balls. Alright, let's see if the Vulcans can shore up the board. The level 2 Steed balls are probably going to be a bit of a problem for it, but other than that, okay. Alright, gets 2 out of the 4 balls. Not too bad of a missile. Yeah, like the rank 1 balls the Vulcan can get through, but these rank 2s, they are tanky boys, and just not enough noise to clear through everything on the left, but on the right, Vulcan does manage to clean up, and as long as they turn into these hounds, unless the steel ball can do a miracle, that should be the round for Dzemp. Definitely been seeing, ooh, Vulcan lives too, that's a nice HP stab. Definitely been seeing a lot more of these fast Vulcan plays recently. Unit just feels, oh, fast Void Eye click for Dzemp. A whole bunch of options for Sauron. Melting Point makes sense when your opponent is already playing, you know, Giants on round 3. You can also see an argument for Phoenix. But, yeah, I've been seeing a lot more of these very fast Vulcan plays since the, yeah, it is the Melting Point for Sauron, since the, just the projectile speed buff on them. It just feels so much better than the unit used to. I know there was a slight hit to Vulcan's damage in the last patch. I don't think it's really changed its ability. I am curious how much of a difference it made there with like the level 2 balls, but I don't really have enough of a comparison point. No clips or anything to look at. But range kicked up on the Melter for Sauron very quickly. Disruption shot for the Void Eyes. They are running aerial, not running EMP armor. Alright, Sauron's starting to sell buildings off now. I can get it. I can do it. Get it. Alright, I think it's flat. Another pack of wasps coming in for Sauron. And some extra fangs for Dzemp. Dzemp's anti-air is still a little thin, but 2 packs of wasps shouldn't really... I mean, the fangs can handle 2 packs, especially with this fire, with the oil getting lit. Melter getting a pretty fast lock on the Vulcan on the right. And that's going to allow Sauron to take that tower. Meanwhile, the slow just absolutely causing these Void Eyes to get shredded by the fire. And that's a solid round for Sauron right there. Ion Blast for Dzemp picked up. Honestly, a bunch of good items. I wouldn't even mind the deployment module and just moving the, just sidestepping with the melter a bit. You have to imagine that's, where an Ion's going to be if it is getting dropped, but Ion Blast picked up as well for Sauron. Shield airdrop back up for Dzemp, gonna be happy about that one. Okay. Okay, yeah, so Ion on the left, shield, airdrop will absorb some of it, but should still get a lot of the Void Eyes. Have to imagine it'll get the Vulcan. Shield on the right for the Melter, which is actually level 2 now. How much health is that? Like 70? 61? So, Ion can certainly still kill it. Pretty sure, yeah, it should die. More Wasp coming in for Sauron, as well as, actually, they have a level 3 Wasp on the board. I didn't realize it, notice they had leveled it before. Range finally in on the Vulcans for Dzemp. Cool, cool, cool. You know, I'm a bit of a Vulcan enjoyer myself, so I am liking Dzemp's board, but Sauron's proven they can take these rounds. Okay. Wasp getting eviscerated by the Ion, and there's the Melter. Is that going to go down, or it does walk out, so the Melter's going to live. Meanwhile, on the left, Vulcan, Void Eyes, all getting shredded. And while there's a good amount of crawlers left, you have to imagine Sauron cleans this round up as well. Yeah. Wasp's a pretty good unit. That said, not a ton of damage for Dzemp this round. He's still down to 2k. On coming into round 6 here. Lightning Storm picked up for Dzemp. Incendiary for Sauron. I'm gonna say, I think both Incendiary and Lightning Storm made sense for Sauron there. Lightning Storm, just with this Wasp presence, for sure makes a lot more sense for Dzemp. Okay, Incendiary getting dropped on the left, more towards the rear. Always a fun position, trying to dodge those forward shields. Not a lot of people like to play against fire, right? Greediest fire is going to try to burn all the chaff. If you don't try to burn all of it, usually get at least something. Shield's very important, beaconing the level 3 Wasp onto the flank, trying to dodge a potential storm on that side. Looks like Dzemp has only purchased one bubble, though, on the right. There's also an oil coming in for Sauron to slow things down. Alright. Oh, I didn't notice that from Sauron. A little crawler right in the corner there to pull everything into the fire. So that's going to be absolutely devastating. And you have to wonder, like, ooh. Lightning Storm, however, is getting quite a bit of chaff cleaned up. Almost all the Wasps dead. So the left side of the board is just absolutely wrecked for both players, but when there's nothing on the board, a Melter's gonna beat a Vulcan. These rank 3 wasps aren't going down too quickly to the fangs, but eventually. So, 2 melters left up. Wouldn't be surprised if that level 1 melter on the left has gone a level. And at 1270 health, Dzemp is in a lot of trouble, nearing gut shot range, unless they really... You know, they gotta figure something out here fast. Mustang's coming in, just kind of rounding out some DPS. Sledgehammers for Sauron. Curious if they're going to flank with them. Nope, just adding them to the front of their board. Level 2 sledge is always a strong pick. We're up to 5 Vulcans now at this point. Oh, linked sledges. Okay. So these are some healthy boys right here, plus regen. It feels like this is just gonna kill Dzemp unless they blind click Ignite, right? And they have clicked Ignite. Okay. So they were choosing to stay on the Vulcan line to fight the Melters. That always feels like a scary proposition. But, certainly Dzemp has the chaff to where this might be able to work. Temp range picked up for Dzemp, as well as Sauron. Curious, I was expecting Sauron to flank on top of their oil on the right there. Try to get the Vulcan to light it, but it doesn't look like they're going for that. Just adding more dogs now to their board. 4th pack of wasps and range on them. So they have 2 level 3 wasps now at this point. Somehow this guy didn't level last round. Alright. Okay, Ignite starting to tick through these linked sledges. Still going to take a bit of time. Yeah. Yeah, no, the Ignite pre-countering the linked regen gut shot attempt, as well as no light on the oil on the right there, means Dzemp takes a very convincing round 7. And suddenly, Sauron, 1600 health. Big giant board like this can absolutely take that out in 1 round. EMP, smoke makes sense here. Advanced power system. I don't see it necessarily for Sauron. I want to double check. It's 155, 135. So I mean, there's an argument to get speed for the Vulcan player, just to close that little gap more. Alright, Dzemp's oil is back up. That's going to be a bit of a problem for Sauron. There's a smoke coming down, but you gotta feel like Dzemp's going to be taking this round. Maybe... Do we see a blind sprinkler? Nope, we got Vulcans for Sauron coming in. Does have money to range them. There it is. Dzemp has range on their fangs. I believe that was clicked last round. Maybe it was last. Was it this round? It might have been last. Sorry if I missed that. Okay. EMP gonna get blocked almost completely by Sauron's shield. Well, we'll have to see if this smoke accomplishes anything, but I'm feeling worried about Sauron's chances. Alright, oil got lit pretty quick. Very quick speed up for the players. It looks like the smoke on the right did get one of the Vulcans killed, although the other stayed mostly under the shield. And actually, is the Vulcan Melter combo going to take this? Ooh, okay. Sauron wins the round. Honestly wasn't expecting that one. Not Smoke doing just enough, I guess. Vulcan picked up for both players. Hard to say no to that one once you're already in the unit. You know, I guess unless you're playing Vulcans defensively, or heavens to Betsy on aggro, I'm not sure when you wouldn't actually pick Vulcan. Just such a powerful card. Ions are back up, targeting the left-hand side of Sauron's board. Yep, and Ion on the left side of Zemp's board as well. Pretty much the same position as the last one was in. You have to imagine the level 3 Vulcan will survive. The level 1, well, with the shield, maybe. Probably, I'm going to say. Sauron is trying to beacon his giants a little bit out of the ion beam. However, Dzemp did place it pretty shallowly, so the Melter's still going to get hit, although level 2, walking contrary to the path, should keep it alive. Should also keep the Vulcan alive. This that might actually be a pretty decent beacon, although at first glance I was worried about it. EMP Wasps in for Dzemp, beaconing them back and forth just to get a little bit of delay for them to arrive. 2 Marksmen picked up for Sauron. Guess they were definitely worried about a Wraith gut shot. Maybe, although you already have the Melters on the board. Is that something you're too worried about? Both of Dzemp's Vulcans surviving on the left, as well as both of Sauron's Giants. These ranged Fangs doing a great job of clearing up the Wasps. With Dzemp's late Wasps now coming in. And not quite game, but both players triple digits. Raiden coming in, have to imagine that's a sell. There's potentially, I guess, a Fortress AA line available, but Dzemp's AA is pretty locked in. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm wondering if Sauron clicks AA on their Wasps. It is only 2 packs from Dzemp, and they do have Mustangs already, but eh. To be fair, the Wasps of Dzemp didn't really get too much accomplished last round. Excellent, excellent fire angle from Sauron. Finding a gap in bubbles. Alright, 2,600 still in the bank for Sauron. Taking their time to think this through. Absorb picked up on the Melters. And Best Partner picked up on the Vulcans for Dzemp. So they're going to have a whole bunch of marksmen popping out. I don't believe they picked up any marksman techs yet, although they may have grabbed one in... Oh no, there's one marksman on the board, so they just have marksman range available. Alright, looks like mostly just levels picked up. Oh, EMP picked up on the Melters as well for Sauron. So we're going to have them missile barrages coming in. Oil on the left just to slow everything down and hopefully get a light. Actually, that's looking for a light. EMP barrage from the Melter didn't quite pop the shield before the oil landed, but still, that light's going to be absolutely devastating. Fire on the right got a whole lot of Dzemp's chaff. The question now is, do the Melters clean up? And it does look like they're going to have the advantage here, you know? Anti-giant units strong against giants, and that's game for Sauron. Sauron going 2-0 versus Dzemp. Oh my. Well then. You know, not the result I was expecting coming into this match, but hey, congratulations Sauron, well played. Alright. 3, and then I click, and jam. Ah, beautiful. I am the literal greatest streamer to ever live. Alright, Pingxi Dionis, bunch of packs here. Anything super interesting? Looks like we have a great standard pack. Fire Badger spec with Sabers. Definitely works on aggro. Although, hey, we've seen a lot of Sabers in standard recently, apparently. So, people are playing them. Alright, yeah, so Pingxi taking Fire Badger spec with Fangs and Sabers, and Dionis actually picking Elite spec with Balls and Hounds. Interesting. It feels rare to see the higher MMR players picking Elite spec without Chaff in the initial pack. So, curious how they're going to take this line. Definitely Elite spec. I think I played it a lot when I was first learning the game, but then at some point I discovered Chaff is wonderful. And I just haven't played Elite spec much since then, but it is a specialist I want to play more of. They're quite cool, quite cool. And they play some interesting lines. Crawl is just coming in for Dionis, makes sense. What tech does Pingxi not run on their Sabers? Excuse me, they do not run regen. Man, Sabers are one of those units you would just love to have, be able to have that 5th deck on the bar, huh? I'm curious that Pingxi sold the anti-armor cannon rather than selling the rapid-fire cannon on the side they're on there. Certainly not what I would have expected. I suppose they're expecting a headbutt. Still, they have the wall to slow everything down. It should be a pretty open turret for Pingxi. Looks like they weren't concerned with trying to get a Saber to tank the rapid-fire cannon, which makes sense. If you're expecting a headbutt, which, you know, Ball Hound like is pretty okay in headbutts. You know, you don't want the balls getting those instant locks on the Sabers. Ooh, not quite able to take out that Saber during the debuff. However, should be able to get cleaned up here for Dionis. Chug-a-dung-dung. Alright, all great options. Haste module getting picked up for Pingxi. I think certainly haste intensive shield airdrop. And the Supreme like photon coating seems to have the least value here just because we're not in a headbutt. It is kind of a crossfire, right? So photon's going to wear out pretty quickly. Alright, we'll see what Dionis picks in a moment. And we have very fast Fire Batters in for Pingxi. And they are running Scorching Charge, as well as Field Maintenance. So we'll have to see if they go for it. I don't know. Scorching Charge always seemed like a bit more of a defensive Badger tech to me, but maybe I just haven't played with them enough. I've usually just been clicking like Range Scorch on Badgers when I play them and be like, yes, excellent. Chaff clear accomplished. But I have not actually played Scorching Charge since the HP got buffed on it, to be fair. To be fair. Alright. What did Dionis go for? Looks like they went for a skip. And has picked up a Phoenix. And actually, they sold one of their balls already, so just looking to get out of that really quick. A bit more traditional of a long-range comp. Still seeing the same overall pull of Dionis' forces. Badger's gonna clean all these light units up and keep the Sabers alive, but with only the Fangs, as well as a debuff here, you have to imagine the Phoenix would clean up regardless. And nah, it's an easy cleanup for Dionis. Fire Badger drop round for Pingxi, so they're looking good. Could see Amp Core getting played here. Would be pretty surprised if anything else gets clicked. Subsidized Marksman doesn't seem like a great pick for either player, right? Pingxi's already pushing in pretty quick, and... although, I mean, they're starting to set up a little further back, but Dionis has already established those Phoenix. Still overlap with the Marksman a bit too much. Yep, skips for both players, makes a lot of sense. Range on the Hounds, boy do they need it versus the Badgers. +1 defense picked up for Dionis. Pingxi has level their weak side tower. This Badger Crawler flank looking pretty dangerous, although the rank 2 Hound and Crawler... oh? Yeah, with the Crawler not hard on the flank there, I'm worried that... I don't believe the Hound's going to be able to clean this up in time, and the Badger's gonna spawn and get some work done. We have field maintenance on the Badgers round 3, +1 attack. Yeah, you have to imagine this Badger flank is gonna completely clean up. It's also pulling all the left side noise of Dionis, so leaving the tower completely open and vulnerable. Very quick speed up for both players. Makes sense. I would expect the Badgers to still clean up this round. Oh. Well, the question is whether or not the Fangs stay alive. And they actually do get taken out, so Dionis gets the cleanup there. Pingxi's force is not quite able to keep the Fangs alive. Alright, drops coming in. Vulcan would surprise me if either player takes. I think the Wraith has some value for Dionis, just as being an kind of, at least at this point, unanswerable answer to the flank. But we'll see what they do. Scorpion, pretty good against the Badgers. You know, can deal with the Sabres, would make sense as well. Also wouldn't be surprised if it's just kind of a pick and sell for either player. Okay, Dionis does select the Wraith, and Pingxi grabs the melting point. So, oh, Pingxi selling off, what did they sell there? One of their Sabres, so actually looking to play the melting point. And yeah, Dionis picks up that Wraith to answer the flank, as well as a Phoenix, so that's going to get cleaned up lickety-split. Well, playing the Wraith a bit more forward. Always get nervous when I see something like this. Like, it feels like the Wraith is so vulnerable there. Although it's really vulnerable on this turn. But it does feel a little disjointed from the Hounds and Crawlers. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems. This Melter shouldn't, like, insta-lock the Wraith or anything. If it was on the opposite side, for sure it would. Oil play coming down for Dionis, just trying to slow down that push. They have leveled their tower, I think, just to 2. Okay. Is there just enough noise? This Melter just refusing to turn and looking at that Wraith is brutal. Absolutely brutal. And Pingxi taking a painful round. This is strike for Dionis. See if Pingxi decides to pick it up again. Would be a very surprised if any other card was picked. Flanking Crawlers as well as a missile to clear the Fangs that are there. A classic maneuver. I'm very fond of it myself. Also dropping a Hound in the bottom right hand flank. Alright, at this point, all of Dionis' dogs are in blue. Alright, Missile Strike picked up for Pingxi as well. Going to take out some dogs, some crawlers, and herd of Phoenix. Another Phoenix coming in for Dionis. Still has only 3 units of chaff. These elite spec forces gets to be really, really slim, thin, lean. Lean, I think, might be the word, right? Another Melter coming in. Yeah, definitely in response to that Wraith, but Dionis, you know, preempting such a move has just sold it off. Makes a lot of sense to me. Both of Dionis' towers at level 2. What is he running on his Phoenix? Okay, EMP, Overload, Energy Shield. It's not a bad lineup. You know, Overload as well if they ever click it. Great against these mediums like the Badgers. Okay. Ooh, that back row Mustang. Gonna actually be able to answer this flank. Question is whether it can actually handle the rank 2 hounds, and I'm imagining not. So this is still going to be the tower. Oof. Phoenix coming in, taking it out lickety-split, and with a bit of luck, that should be the round. There we go. Alright, Pingxi just not quite able to put a round together. It's very unfortunate, down to 2200 health coming into round 6. Still very playable, and they have some great things going for them on the board. This field maintenance on the Badgers has unfortunately not been getting as much done as he would have necessarily hoped. Ion Blast picked up for Dionis. I have to imagine this Ion or maybe EMP for Pingxi. EMP, yeah. Oh yeah, I missed this during deployment, but this is a rather sneaky Phoenix, and yeah, it's getting sold off this round. There's no way you can expect that to stay alive. EMP on the right side of Dionis' forces, just looking to slow down that tower take. Badger to answer the deep flank makes a lot of sense. Level 2 Badger should easily be able to clean all of that up. Like, that is certainly... I don't think it would need, like, field maintenance to clean that up. I feel like equal level Badgers have a really good matchup into Hounds, but you don't mind the extra health, right? Okay, Crawler Drag coming out of Dionis. So he's looking to manipulate Pingxi's forces towards a bit more into the center. Theoretically, that should help alleviate some of the pressure from the tower. Makes sense. Rank 2 Steel Ball purchased by Dionis in the top left. I believe that was this round. Ooh, 2 Badgers answering the right-hand deep flank. Yep, Ion just barely able to kill the first Melter. I think the second should walk out of it. This is looking like another pretty good round for Dionis. Although, can the Phoenix actually get through the Badgers fast enough? Ooh. With the debuff, absolutely they can. Another marginal win. But, you know, without the Ion there, you have to think Pingxi probably takes the round, right? So... with a more even spell-less round, hopefully they can actually pull out a win here and start heading back. Farseers for Pingxi. There's a rank 4 Void Eyes? Yeah. For Dionis. What is Pingxi running on their Farseers? So they're still running Burst. They're running Burst AA Range Photon. I've seen a lot of people taking Burst off of the Farseers at this point, mostly just relying on AA. And then I've seen both. I've been running EMP rather than Burst. Definitely found that to be useful at some points. Ooh, armor coming in for these rank 2 and 3 Steel Balls. So that's going to absolutely brick the fire badges upon contact. Mech Rage was picked up on the house. That was a round or two ago. I believe round 5? Certainly last round, if not. Interestingly enough, it looks like Dionis is... Whoa, we have a mountain. Okay. Okay, I don't mind that. Do not mind that at all. I was gonna know, but like Dionis isn't actually like unlocking random units each round, which is interesting. But yeah, okay, mountain, let's go. Hound got sold from the bottom right flank. Badger's completely answered it anyways, so it makes sense. So, I mean, the Phoenix are level 2 and 3, so they have enough damage to kill the mountain. Obviously, if the steel balls connect, they'll do okay. But, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Was that game right there? That is game with a minus 23. Dionis with a very convincing board. The one played coming out from Pingxi. I like that one. Alright, cool. Another elite spec pack is available, as well as training specialist. Typhoon spec, looking playable for some production factory, but I highly doubt we'll be seeing it. Ooh, cost control picked up. Always fun. One of my favorite specialists. Just so much money. So much money. Here's what Pingxi is going to pick here. Choosing quick supply with tarantulas and void eyes. They are running AP, so we could be seeing some tarantula carry coming in. Arclights, the chaff clear of choice for Dionis. Oh, it looks like, excuse me, they switched sides. So Dionis is blue now, Pingxi red. Looks like Pingxi is choosing to set up center standard. So curious if they'll actually stay on the tarantula line then, or if they're going to be getting sold off for some Vulcans. Don't usually see standard tarantula, but it's still a premium chaff clear unit. Still does its job. Pew pew pew. Alright, how centered are we? We can do better. Let's do this. Yeah. It's so unnecessary. Alright. I'm gonna stop tweaking the map. Crawler's coming in for Pingxi, who's already sold off the rapid fire cannon in the center. A very quick +1 defense out of Dionis, just cost control things. And Dionis setting up completely asymmetrical here. They defending their open side, which makes sense. You do really expect Spider Void Eye to play aggressive here, but this is actually going to cause the balls to run into the anti-armor cannon. And this is giving Pingxi just an incredible position to fight from and a crushing first round. So you have to wonder, did Pingxi set up standard there in response to the expectation of the aggro spiders? Whoa, Dionis clicked something real fast. Marksman, makes sense. Pingxi, I'm expecting the marksman. Phoenix could also be played here. Yep, choose the Phoenix. Having that orange man is real nice to have. I'm curious about the position of this Arclight. I would have normally expected center Arclights to be kind of in line with, you know, the ones at the tower. But is he actually even further back than the side Arclight? Curious. Sneaky. Always gotta remember that the Stormcallers can snipe unprotected towers. And never mind, going for the safer Stormcaller play. I guess they want to keep it on their board for more than one round. You know, 4,700 health, you got a lot to work with. Can just working on continuing to establish the board. Alright, rapid fire cannon for Pingxi sold off. Got a Fang there. Very nice, very nice. Extra crawler. 1-1 now for our cost control player. The Stormcaller, if nothing else, is gonna get through that wall generally in one volley, sometimes two, right? So it is probably the best early game unit actually clearing out the wall. I'm trying to think what unit actually clears walls better than Stormcallers. With the help of that Stormcaller, did have a much better time running into that cannon, but Pingxi's force is just getting the tower pop on the right-hand side and gonna clean up. Alright, money is there. We have to see if Pingxi sells off a spider, goes Vulcan, or continues down the spider line. Dionis picking up a nano kit. Wondering if there's a worm coming out. Giant in general, you don't usually see nano on non-giants, although, hey, you know, color me wrong. Nano going on the single steel ball that's remaining. Really do imagine that steel ball's getting sold off soon for something else, but hey, who knows? Another Arclight picked up on the right-hand side. And a Saber chosen for Pingxi. Are they running? I think they're running anti-missile. They are. 2 Sabers coming out. And anti-missile picked up very, very, very quickly. I'm curious if this is going to prompt Dionis to sell off the Stormcaller. We'll have to keep an eye on how much the Stormcaller accomplishes this round. Oh, excuse me. Okay, Marksman on the right-hand side as well for Dionis. So with the Arclight and the Marksman, should be able to stall things out quite a bit longer over there. Extra Tarantula picked up as well. So yeah, it looks like Pingxi's looking to stay in this spider line. Okay, and the Sabers are completely eliminating the Stormcaller from this battle. At least for now. At least for now. We'll have to see what happens as their efficiency drops off. Was that 2 Arclights getting stuck on that Tarantula? There wasn't any chaff left either way. But yeah, that Stormcaller is now bricked and dead in the water. And the question is whether or not the Sabers are a viable long-term play. You know, ER Saber shows up, definitely incredible. We have ER Vulcan, Absorption Module. Very tempting cards. Improved Firepower, also very cool. Very, very cool. So you have to wonder what... Yeah, Pingxi's mostly lacking. Needs a DPS, is a chaff clearer now. There's still not a ton of chaff on the board, right? I know this Arclight got locked pretty quick. I think this guy still mostly did his job. Absorption Module picked up for both players. Vulcan Worm. Hell yeah. I was wondering when those guys were going to show up. Yep, there's the Cell and the Steel Ball. Second Worm. 2 great Worm items. Even though he has already clicked AM, having the Sabers out against Worms, very nice. Double Shot is still only 350 as a second tech. It is not an expensive click. You can kind of get away with not having range on the Sabers against Worms, as long as, you know, Sabers aren't running way up in inting. Yep. Extra chaff coming in for Dionis. Was looking a little thin, so that makes a lot of sense. Temp range picked up round 4 for Pingxi. Oh, cancels. They drop. I think that was an extra fang? I think that was an extra fang they dropped. Oh, well, crawler in the flank. So, Stormcaller's still on the board this round. Feels like it was a lot more about just getting the regen item off of, oof. That worm taking some punishment from the sabers and the void eyes and the anti-armor cannon, I think, right away. Worm, now that it is connected with the sabers, is able to do a whole heck of a lot and regenning every time it burrows. And that saber with the regen is just able to crush through the round. No, saber with the regen, worm with the regen. I can words. I am English. Elite Mustang here, technically a line. I don't think it's strong for either player, so I'm not surprised about the clip. The skip. Could see deployment module or a skip coming for Pingxi as well. Worm's strike clicked. So they also have burrow maintenance, replicate, mech div. The strike replicate build is always really fun on the worms. Get a whole bunch of spawns, whole bunch of time underground. You have absorption module, nano repair. That's the name of it, nano repair. I always forget it. I always just, my brain's like, ah yes, it is regen. The effect is the name of the item. Beacon coming out, pulling the arc lights back a little. I guess they were getting, I didn't quite notice exactly what was happening with the arc lights last round, as I was more focused on the worms. Alright, we do have replicate out, so we are actually getting both techs coming up round 5 for the worms. Just cost control things, don't you know? Although I guess Giant Spec could pull off... technically could pull off the same way. The same trick. I think 2 turns to get the worms out. That's plus 200 from cost control, 200 from Giant. Either way, we'll have to see. I'm curious what effect this beacon back on those arc lights is going to have. Plus 1 attack for Pingxi. And they have chosen to go with a melter. So I was grabbing a level on a Sabertooth. Melter, at least until multi-melt, feels a little feast or famine against worms to me. You know, if it gets the lock, awesome, but... Oh, was that acid picked up on the crawlers? Okay. That's going to change this math very quickly, and the worms just get wrecked. Worm on the right side, still doing its thing, but I didn't notice the acid crawler pickup. That's great. Oh, with the debuff, though. Yeah, looks like Dionis is able to clean up the round. But, you know, you were expecting a lot more out of those worms, and they're just not able to deliver. Unit drops coming in. Not sure if anything looks particularly enticing. Looks like, okay, Wraith coming in for Dionis, Pingxi, and Wraith is being sold, which makes sense. I feel like Pingxi is probably going to be Wraith and sell as well. He could play the Rhinos backline just to have some tank, but looks like it is the Wraith. And expecting a sell, there's already Marksman on the board, and he already has Vulcan established, right? You'd have to imagine he wants to continue down the Vulcan line. Alright, worm level picked up. Arclight levels picked up as well. Yep. Okay, so keeping the Wraith on the field and going for a second Vulcan, Range clicked on the Vulcans. Okay, wanting to keep the Sabers on the board. They are very nice against the Worms, especially at level 2 now. Another Melter picked up. Not quite enough money for any techs. Okay, so yeah, so Pingxi chose to sell off the Tarantula this round, rather than the level 2 Wraith. We'll have to see if the Wraith gets anything accomplished. Didn't call it up before, but I think last round, round before, that Crawler got added onto the Shout flank with the deployment module. Okay, Wasp being added for Dionis. Oh. Wraith on the field, pretty nice against Wasps. That's a nice click, and this Melter got an, pretty much an instant lock. on that worm. You hate to see it as the worm player, even past replicate, you know? Left side, however, big worm doing big work. Gonna get that tower. And the debuff is enough for this marksman to take out the melter. And that's another round for our blue player. Absorption module picked up for Pingxi. Wouldn't be surprised if Dionis grabs that or portable shield for the last worm. Yep, port shield makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Looks like it was regen picked up, or it was the absorption module. Sorry, picked up for Pingxi. Put on that level 2 melter there. Tower levels coming in. Oh, we stop a worm from one-shotting them. Although, how much damage does this worm do? 22.6. So it does take 2 hits now to actually kill the tower, although just barely. Because that's +2 attack, level 2 worm. I guess the level 2 worm with +2 attack, if it wasn't cost control, would still be able to one-shot the tower. Important. Continuing to do the slight beacon back on the arc lights. Goodness, there's been so much going on. I forgot to pay attention to the effect that had in the match. Some Mustangs added for Pingxi as a response to the Wasps. Makes sense. Range already picked up on them. Did Pingxi sell off an arc light? I believe that's what they did. Flanking crawler with the deployment module moved away from the shallow flank into a more central position, looking like they're wanting to set up the acid for where the worm is expected to pop. Pop up, as it were. Worms on the left just short of the acid, although one getting locked by a melter very, very quickly. Worm on the right going down pretty quick to that melter. And melter on the left had a lock, but with the reburrow, ooh, not quite enough out of the worms, and these melters are getting it done. Although after the worms are done and the melters step in red zone acid, ooh, they go down quick. Alright, unit drops coming in on round 8. Fire Manager, Rhino, Farseer, a Typhoon. Could have maybe seen Typhoon if Pingxi had decided not to go for the Mustangs already. Farseer's coming down. I think that's definitely the highest sell value, right? That's 600 over 2 turns. Both players picking up the Farseers. Looks like they're wanting to keep them on their boards. You know, not a bad unit just to have. What is this Wraith? This Wraith getting 20,000 damage, no upgrades, and just surprisingly not getting taken out super quickly by the marksman. Alright, Mech Div coming out on the worms, 4th worm being added. Very cool. Range and double shot on the marksman. Not a lot of techs on the board for Pingxi. Acid, AM, and then range on the Vulcans. 2-2 was picked up a little while ago for our cost control player. Still just 1-1 for Pingxi, who is adding their own Wasps. With range and EMP. Okay. Alright. Let's go. Okay. That Wraith did get sniped quite quickly there. This is a lot of wasps. It's a lot of work for this Farseer to try to get through all of these wasps, but EMP on the worm's pretty brutal, preventing the mechanical division from taking place. From this left side, you know, pushing through hard for Dionis. That's another round. And you gotta wonder, right? Like, what is Pingxi missing that isn't allowing this board to work? And little chaff, little tank. Feels like these worms are getting through just a bit too quickly. Javelin, you'd have to imagine, is better for Dionis here. Pingxi picking up underground threat. Both players picking up underground threat. There, I guess, with the levels on the board, there's actually nothing that the Javelin could one-shot. Unless you want to go for a Saber, which doesn't really matter. So you know what? Makes sense there. Javelin not the greatest looking spell here. Okay, so we have Dionis combining the Underground Assault with an oil play, trying to get these Vulcans to turn, light it. Would kill off some Crawlers and Mustangs, very cool. 3 more packs of Wasps added for Pingxi, so they're going all in on the Wasp play. Makes sense. You know, stalls out the Marksman for a while, however. We have a few packs of Mustangs in for our blue player. This Absorption Worm getting beaconed into the middle. Want to run that into the Vulcan rather than the Melter, which is now at rank 3. That is a big boy right there. Looks like the last of the Void Eyes were sold off, and now we have Underground clicked for the Crawlers. And that oil is gonna get lit. That is devastating to Pingxi's board. You have to imagine Dionis takes the round now. But maybe these Wasps can get something done. Ooh. Right side falling for Pingxi for once, but... oh no! Melter not quite able to do it. These EMP Wasps were a good attempt, but that is another win for Dionis, and that is Dionis 2-0 over Pingxi. Well played. We are 5, 4, 3. And we are into the game. Steelsane versus Apotekariy. Steelsane blue in the bottom, Apotekariy red in the top. Whoa, let's try to center that map. Let's see what packs we've got. So Apotekariy picking up Rhino Spec, Marksman Sledge, Marksman Spec for Steelsane with the Saber Crawler start. Aw, the kitty. Alright. Alright. Arclights, chaff clearer choice for Steelsane. Apotekariy just adding some Crawlers this round. Can definitely rely on Sledges in the first round here. Both players setting up pretty asymmetrical. This building layout has always felt like a very kind of, I don't know, symmetrical standard favor. You can certainly play aggro into it, especially into the light turret. But Apotekariy choosing to set up behind his wall, and Steelsane setting up behind his little rapid fire cannon. So we are getting another long range crossfire. Long fire? Nope, that doesn't work. Saber's getting the first turret pop. Get a little bit of cleanup on those sledges there. Marksman not quite able to power through, unfortunately splitting their focus. I think on one saber at a time probably would have been able to clean up there, but how she goes, and Steelsane with a great round 1 into his round 2 Orange Man. Stormcaller the pickup for Apotekariy. All of these, I'd be surprised if Steelsane grabs the Void Eyes, but all three of the other options seem very, very strong. Stormcaller is always good in these long-range games. And, well, Steelsane just having the... I mean, it's just Marksman on both sides for anti-air, so Wasp would certainly have been a powerful choice. Stormcaller getting set up on the right makes sense. Gonna chip away at that push as it comes in, and Sledge Marksman isn't too fast to begin with. Arclight picked up, should be able to clear away those crawlers, so yeah. Steelsane's right-hand side looking pretty well set up. Meanwhile, got some Arclights coming in for red, as well as the Stormcaller pickup. Or the Stormcaller drop. Oof, Stormcaller getting fast shots onto those sledges on the right. Meanwhile, on the left, mostly getting distracted by crawlers. Looks like Steelsane's defense has locked down the right-hand side, and as well as his offense managing to push through on the left. Laser Sights picked up for Steelsane, always a great item. Apotekariy is playing, what was that, Rhino Specialist? Yeah. Port Shield, potentially a pickup you can put on the Rhino next round, but that's 200 credits you're not doing anything with. Absorption Module picked up. Curious where they're going to put that. Turrets have finished being sold off for Apotekariy. Okay. Range picked up on arc lights for both sides, as well as the laser sights being put on one of the arc lights. I would have expected that to go onto the rank 3 marksman. Oh, arc light makes sense as well. Fairly long range game. Alright. Beakered Crawler dodging the first volley of Stormcaller fire. Meanwhile, on the left, the Stormcaller's got a pretty quick lock on the Saber this time. Should be able to take it out probably with the next volley. Indeed. On the right, the Stormcaller is just completely unanswered and just slowly churning its way through everything. However, looking like the red player is actually managing to push through on the left. Alright. More marginal of a win for Steelsane. Apotekariy's board is starting to come a little bit more together. And we now have Apotekariy's power round with that rank 2 Rhino drop. Rhino Assault always available. Super supply picked up for Steelsane. Hard to say no to that on round 4, especially when you're up, 1600 health. Okay, Rhino Assault picked up for Apotekariy, so they're looking to really take some tempo back this round. And you have to imagine that if they aren't able to get a win here, it's just going to be Steelsane running away from the game. Or running away with the game. Rank 2 Stormcaller on both sides now. Steelsane adding a forward crawler should tank, with the beacon, 1-2 Stormcaller? I don't think that beacon is gonna draw the second shot away. It might actually draw like the third, though. We'll have to see what happens. Melter picked up for Apotekariy and put forward of the Stormcallers. Saber's Arclight's definitely been a bit of a problem, although I thought the Stormcallers were doing an okay job. Absorption module placed onto that Melter. Just checking, assuming they have multi-melt. They do. Could be a potential multi-melt angle, but we'll see how the boards develop. Crawler beacons for both players. Am I right? Oh, no. Okay. Rhino drop in the bottom left. Should get through to the tower. It's going to take a hot minute, though. And these sabers just barely not locking onto the melter. Going for the Rhino first, which gives the melter time to actually work its way through. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Apotekari's Stormcaller has been added and doing a heck of a lot of works. Work. EMP, Ion, Incendiary, all quite strong here. Assault Scorpion. You could technically play Assault Siege Scorpion as Steelsane here. I don't expect that line, but is an option against Giant Play. Nope, they go for the Incendiary, so Incendiary from Steelsane. Ion from Apotekariy. Very, very cool. Should completely wipe out Steelsane's board on this side. 1-1 picked up. Range picked up on this now level 2 Melter. You know, taking out that pair of sabers was enough for the Melter to get a whole whack of XP, and that level 2 is just so crucial on this thing, up to 80,000 health now. Absolutely a tanky behemoth. Beaconing the Stormcaller and Melter, presumably away from a predicted Ion, makes a lot of sense. I'm curious how that positioning is going to end up playing out. And Apotekariy shielding more in response to a Melter than the Incendiary, so that is one way to get a little bit of extra value out of these cheaper spells when the more expensive one's offered, right? Your opponent really can't shield for both, and Ion feels a whole lot scarier than Incendiary. Alright, so a couple of crawlers gonna get cleaned up. We'll see how much damage this fire does to the rest of the stuff, but this Ion is just shredding this right-hand side. Goodbye, Marksman. Still, fire getting everything cleaned up as well. Wasp Pack added, absolutely just bricking, I suppose? Yeah, we'll use that. Bricking that Melter, and it's just not able to get the connections onto the sabers that was really, and arc lights that it was really looking for. Ooh, Mustang production line. A Mustang play already makes sense here from Apothekariy's standpoint. Going for Lightning Storm. Yep, just wanting to continue hammering on the right-hand side of Steelsane's board. We'll have to see here what Steelsane ends up choosing. Lightning Storm is always strong, but they have chosen to go for the nuke. Makes sense. It's a little bit better at dealing with the larger enemies. What is the nuke damage again? 70,000. So it's not going to kill the melting point, but at least not with the nuke directly. You have to imagine it's enough damage to wipe everything out after, though. Mustangs with range getting added in response to the Wasp, which is actually... Oh, it has not been sold off. I got just kind of cut off by the text of the UI there. That's alright. Beaconing to the right. Makes sense. You gotta play against both the nuke and the Lightning Storm. It's hard to have enough money to shield everything. Okay. We'll see if this Lightning Storm gets enough work done for Apotekariy. Otherwise, it might just be Steelsane's game. Is there enough shield pressure? There is. The shield goes down, and this nuke is just gonna open up the left-hand side here. And with only light units to target, that Melter is gone. Not able to regen from the nuke at all. Alright. And that is a convincing round for Steelsane, who did not take enough damage from the Lightning Storm. I believe that is game. Yeah. Steelsane up 1-0 against Apotekariy. Well played. Alright. Here we are into game 2 of Steelsane Apotekariy. Steelsane is up 1-0. I did write that down properly this time. I think I gotta get up a little early for these streams, actually, like, warm up the voice, play a game or two. Oh, that'll be so early next week, oh lordy. I'll be okay. I got this. Alright. Quick supply, specialist, Hound Saber, coming in for Steelsane. You know, either standard or over here. Like, there is... Pushing into this turret is just a nightmare. Apotekariy, missile specialist. Gonna be playing standard tarantulas with some crawlers, and like we were talking about, just setting up on the open side, right? There's really only two options for Steelsane, which is either playing this right side aggro or doing some sort of standard play, and in either case, you're okay playing, you know, asymmetrically like Apotekariy here. That said, Sabers do have an excellent matchup into tarantulas. So, it's not like Apothekariy's just won the game or something. Hopefully they play the tarantulas a bit further back, give them some room. If they decide to move up onto the line, it could be devastating. I'm wondering... Yeah, okay. With the tarantulas forward and the chaff far behind, those were some very likely locks that were going to be taking place. Looks like 3 packs of crawlers coming out for quick supply here. And that is still 2 instant locks on the tarantulas. And this should be able to snowball into the round for Steelsane. Yep, very quick. But this isn't the hardest thing in the world for Apotekariy to fix. Pack a chaff or 2 up in front to protect the tarantulas. And it should be playable, although still just rank 1 marksman there. Rhino Assault for Apotekariy, looking to grab some quick early tempo here. They are also missile spec as well. Alright. Rhino Drop also coming in for Steelsane. The classic crisscross Rhino swap. Alright. I can't see Steelsane actually... Well, you know, every time I open my mouth, I'm just wrong. And there is actually a shield coming in. I'm curious. I guess that's the one missile location that can actually hit a Hound and a Crawler. So it makes some sense why that would be the most likely location to get missiled. Otherwise, Steelsane has done a really good job of spreading everything out. So there's only one missile that can hit anywhere. Couple of packs of Fang. This Crawler and Fang is going to slow down the Rhino a whole heck of a lot more than just Apothekary's Crawler. So that's going to be a fast tower pop for Steelsane, or a faster tower pop for Steelsane, and both of the Tarantulas just getting locked so quickly by the Sabers. Steel balls were added, but without the chaff clear, it's a little rough. Later tower pop bought a little bit of time for Apotekariy, but still, convincing round for our aggro player. Photon seems like an unlikely pick here. Underground and Rhino Assault both playable, but both players picking Underground. Alright. Center Underground coming out from Steelsane, Apothekary's backline. Another squad of balls. Makes sense, you know, there was another Rhino drop offered. You gotta do something against it as Apotekariy, because it definitely hurt last round. These Sabers up to rank 2 now. Very, very scary. They are not running regen. Underground Crawler is going to get a good pull. The Crawler and Fang should be able to get it all cleaned up. And we have an on-the-line Phantom Ray. Well then. Missile on the Fang. So this Phantom Ray is going to go absolutely wild here. Ooh. 5 Fangs managing to make it under the shield in time. See if that's enough. The Tarantula's not getting instantly clicked by the Sabers, but one of them getting one shot.
Okay, tower pop for Apotekariy. No, that underground crawler actually did better than expected there. I guess, right, the missile on the fangs, and the fangs getting pulled with the phantom rays. Makes sense that it would actually get through to the tower. There we go, Apotekariy taking a nice round. And a slight HP lead, both players at around 3k. Unit drop coming in round 4. Rank 2 Scorpions, some Rhinos. Raiden coming in for Steelsane. Do expect that to be played. Scorpion for Apotekariy, who sells off the on-the-line Phantom Ray. Makes sense. This Raiden would have absolutely... Is it a one-shot? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Raiden's one-shot the rank 1 Phantom Ray without shield or armor. Farseer coming in from Apotekariy. Right. Range Burst AA Photon. And deciding to keep the Scorpion on the board. Scorpion, excellent DPS. A little worried that Apothekariy's gone Marksman, Scorpion, Farseer, and Phantom Ray, spreading the units around, so tech's not necessarily the most efficient. But we'll see what they decide to actually invest into. Oh, the Tarantula's just getting wrecked round after round. You gotta see that getting fixed up, because you know, this chaff clear is just not here, DPS can't connect, and Steelsane gets the tower. Apotekariy at 2k. Lightning Storm. Insta pickup for Apotekariy. I mean, that'll fix the chaff killer for at least one round. Excuse me. And it is some stormy weather coming in. Both players pick up the Lightning Storm. Oil coming onto the ground from Apotekariy. So, gonna significantly magnify the strength of the Lightning Storm, as well as setting up for fire next round. So, very cool play. Alright, range for the Hounds. Side guns undone on the Sabers. AA picked up on the Farseers, so it looks like they want to play that Farseer line into the Raiden. Not unreasonable. How much damage do they do? 1500, it's like plus 90, so it's like 3-6. Yeah, that's not bad. They can get through a Raiden pretty quick. And Crawler coming in on, we'll call it a deep flank. It's kind of the borderline between these mid and deep flanks, but that's going to pull this Phantom Ray and the Steel Balls for a long time. Going to buy a ton of time on the left here. Missile coming in, trying to clip the Hounds. Ooh, and we have a very far forward Phoenix from Steelsane. It's going to threaten that tower take pretty quick. Alright, lots of shields, lots of lightning. Tarantula's again getting popped right away, but that is a very fast tower from Steelsane on the left. And Apotekariy was not expecting that, especially in combination with that crawler pull. Still, with chaff clear a little bit less of an issue, we can see that Apothekariy's board is standing a chance. So I have to presume either Badgers or Vulcan coming down this next round. Good lean towards Vulcan, given that the Raiden is already present on the board. No, and there's a Vulcan in a drop, right? So that's just a perfect drop for Apotekariy. Sandworm, picked up for Steelsane, makes sense. I would expect them to play it. Second Vulcan for Apotekariy, and range. We got level 3 side gun sabers now. Rhino drop is back up for both players. Yep. Fang added for Apotekariy. Gonna help protect that tower. Jump drive taken on the Phoenix. Alright. A beacon coming out from Steelsane to avoid a lot of that oil. Looks like we're gonna have a... Oh! Apotekariy was thinking about a Goomba Stomp on those Hounds. Very cool. Not sure how necessary that is, right? If the oil's getting lit anyways, you'd expect the Hounds to die, but, you know, getting the Rhino there in general, not bad. Missile coming down from Apothecary, take out those fangs on Steelsane's left tower. So Apothecary will definitely get that tower at some point this round. Ooh. That Rhino drop from Steelsane, I expect it to take out the Farseer there. It's before getting taken out itself. Will cause a bit of a pull. This Tarantula's still in a vulnerable place, but with the Vulcan out now, you know, you actually have some chaff clear that's not just going to get insta-popped by the Saber. There are some steel balls with range already. Hopefully they can take out the worm. But it looks like they've locked onto a Sabertooth first, and this worm is going to manage to chew its way through. You know, these side gun sabers are pretty quick at getting through balls as well, so... Ooh. This is going to be a lot of damage coming in. Is that game? Not quite. 28 health left for Apothecary. Additional deployment slot for Apothecary. Just needs... I guess they're choosing to go for a whole lot of units this round. With 28 health left, you're not going to get a ton of scaling value from that. So they're just trying to get as much power on the board this round as possible. 2 more Vulcans getting added. Underground from Steelsane. Presumably at least 1 or 2 of those Vulcans are going to turn. Ooh. Extra Saber added. Worm's Saberhound getting beaconed into the left tower through a bit of a vulnerable angle. Ignite picked up on the Vulcans. Gonna help with the Sabers and the Worms. Very cool. Very cool. Extra Farseer picked up. Range is on the Ravens now. Third Raven picked up. It's... You know, it's hard to see it. I'm just not seeing Apothecary as having solved all of their issues here. Well, let's see what happens. The aggressive oil from Steelsane not quite getting lit by that Vulcan. So that's good for Apothecary, but can these Vulcans get through the worms? Actually, worm. And it can indeed. Tower does fall. So that left tower, surprising to me, being the one left standing last, but still, Steelsane taking the round. And that is going to be game for them. So that is Steelsane 2-0 over Apothecary. Well played. I think this is IcyD's game? Yes, this is IcyD Velotzem, who are already in progress. And it looks like IcyD is 1-0 over Velotzem. Alright, okay. Where are we at? Pretty even, both players at around 2,900 health. See IcyD with supply spec, additional deployment. Velotzem missile spec with additional deployment. We have Sledgehammers, Arclights with range, Marksman and Phoenix with range, and some Mustangs with range. So, we have a very nice long-range comp coming out of IcyD, and Velotzem, we got a couple of Sandworms coming in, who is almost, this is almost a pure carry worm setup right here. Oh, we got Sandworm, I guess it's not pure carry. Now, what am I talking about? There's no strike, there's no micrage. Utility worm? Anti-aerial, sandstorm. I am focusing too much on these worms. We have side gun sabers. Sabers in standard, just game after game. I think these guys know something I don't. I'm telling you, these standard sabers are doing a lot better than I would have expected. Crawler getting taken out. Let's see how this goes. So like chaff clear is fairly even from both sides, although we have the worms popping up now. Worm dying on the right, getting through on the left, and Velotzem taking the round. So it looks like the Yeah, it seems as though Chaff Clear was fairly even. It's just IcyD lacking some DPS. Efficient Giant coming in. Interesting to see what they choose. Wouldn't be surprised. Fortresses could go Worms themselves. Heavy armor for Velotzem. Looks like there's a heavy armor on a Sabertooth already for him. Heavy armor going on that other worm, along with underground regen and worms coming out for IcyD. So the efficient giant spec has, the efficient giant manufacturing has now been completely paid off for IcyD, and it's just going to be money value from here as long as they're still in it. Temp range coming in, as well as a loan from IcyD. Temp range for Velotzem. He does grab an extra worm themselves. You know, you'd have to hope that stacking the worms, 3 on the right here, is going to give IcyD a little bit of a chance to crush through. Well, those level 2 sabers with side guns. The side guns not so much, but the level 2 sabers can definitely handle some worms. Replicate coming out for Icy's worms. Alright. Worms popping up for both sides. Starting the Sand Dune Slam. Worms falling pretty quick to those sabers. And doesn't it just seems to be a DPS issue from IcyD's board. He just can't get through these worms and sabers fast enough. Maybe a little bit of chaff clear as well. There's only a few arc lights on that side of the board, and that is actually game with Velotzem taking it, which means IcyD and Velotzem are 1-0 now. Or 1-1 with Velotzem. 3. Yeah. Alright, Erconu Narayan. Let us go. I believe this should be the first game of the series. Starting packs here. Is anything jumping out? Fire Badger spec with Marksman Sledge. Very good. Very nice standard pack. Choosing to pick the Sabertooth Typhoon spec, and we have Rhino spec with Fang Sledge coming in for Narayan. Let's Alright, very fast sell of the small turret from Narayan. So, similar to that last Steelsane Apotekariy game, we have the Wall plus Chungus doubled up on one side, which means for aggro, there's really just the one option here. At least at the start of the game. So, pretty easy decision where to set up for Narayan. Hey, Riven saying it's going to be Narayan's game. Places high in every tourney. Certainly expected. I think we saw some good games from Erconu last week. So we'll have to see. Sabers have been performing pretty well today. Maybe they just get a Russian buff. Arclight, chaff clear of choice here for Erconu. Sabers do manage to get through the defenses and onto the turret. Still a marksman and some fangs running rampant on the left. Should be able to get this tower, and then the question is, does the Saber turn here, or does it go for tower first? Goes for the turn, gets the marksman, and is the reload? Ooh! Alright, alright. Erconu winning round 1 very slimly with that Saber. Oh, no, ran out of time. I'm still going to call out an Erconu win. That's a lot more damage. Alright, what are we doing moving forward? Improved War Factory. God, makes them expensive. It's gotta be Photon or EMP, right? Potentially Fortified Overlord if you want to do something fancy a little bit later in the game. Narayan just going for a skip. A level available on a saber from round 1 is always a scary proposition. Level 2 saber is not something a rank 1 marksman is getting through in a realistic fashion. Both players are taking some time to think, though. Alright, Fire Badgers. Chaff Clear of choice for Narayan. What are they running? Range, Napalm, Ignite, Scorch. Just pure attack Badger. But very good on defense with the Napalm especially. Alright, erconu made their choice. It looks like they went for a skip. Grabs the level on that saber. So Fire Badgers will get the Chaff Clear work done here. And the question is, you know, can anything on Orion's board actually kill this saber at this point? Does this marksman turn to these crawlers? I expect they will, right? Yes, okay, they do turn, so that's good. Unanswered DPS coming in from Arcana here. Fire Badgers doing their job very well. Yeah, the Saber just slowly chugging through everything. Starting to take some fire from the marksman, but it's just not going to be enough DPS. Arclight was added on the left by erconu, but marksman's going to win that matchup. We'll see if they manage to keep both Sabers alive here. Hey Roas, RFL, it is the Russian First League. It is a 401 exclusive tournament run by Play Archer. That is a round win from erconu. Yeah. So this is round of 16. Last week we did the round of 32. And it's been a lot of fun. We're getting some aggro games in now. Had a bunch of standard earlier. And we have unit drops coming in. Steel balls for erconu. I'm assuming they want to maybe make a stab. Oh, steel balls on the flank. Very cool. Very aggressive. Not sure what an Orion is going to pick here. Could see an argument for Void Eyes, although they are only rank 1. Is this a fast disruption shot or even a fast charge? Do have EMP armor on the board. Oh, there was a cell. What was sold? Was that just a small turret? We have a Typhoon. Oh, yeah. Typhoon Specialist. So buying a Typhoon a round early. But Typhoon ball flank coming in. They have armor available on the balls. They do. Could potentially try to brick out the Fire Badgers with that. Oops, camera, go back. I like it centered. Alright, marksman coming in. Is that going to be placed on the left to try to counter Narayan's? Round 3 oil coming in from Narayan. A defense classic. You'd have to imagine that this opens the field up enough for the Void Eyes to hopefully get through, because it's still just 2 unranged Arclights trying to clear, you know, multiple packs of fangs. Inside marksman added, not going to get pulled against the flank. Let's see how this goes. Void Eyes just tearing through those balls spawning in, as you'd expect. See if it keeps going. Oil has been lit. We got a marksman off going on the left. Yep. Balls and Typhoons not quite getting it done, although they open up the tower enough, and Saber should be able to clean everything up there. Oh, goodness. The level 1 Saber staying alive with just the tiniest sliver of health. Tiny. So, unless this marksman can get something done in the debuff here... Ooh! Yeah, even through the debuff. Narayan's marksman cleaning it up. And we are going into round 4 with both players very healthy. This is the Typhoon drop round for erconu, who picks up Lightning Storm, and Narayan picking up the Ion Blast. Okay, interesting position on the Ions. That's going to get the marksman. Saber should get that Arclight unless it gets range. Even if it gets range, maybe. I'm curious. I don't think that ion angle is going to hit the blue saber, which seems to be the problem unit right now. Typhoon getting added onto the flank. Just strengthening that up. I mean, these Typhoons seem to get a lot of value just in, I don't know, kind of these wide wraparound deployments. I don't know. Like, I swear there's a point where you get, like, 4 or 5 Typhoons, and suddenly they just all start doing more damage, magically, somehow. Wraith coming in. Interesting choice. Narayan's Rhino drop, placed in the upper left. Just potentially answering a flank, and we'll put on a bit more tower pressure. I'm curious about this Wraith. I guess, is it just... It looks like it's just to try to tank the Typhoons. Kind of break the chaff clear going on there. Ooh, bubble in place. Did protect the marksman, but everything else is still dying. And you know what? That Ion is absolutely gonna smack the big saber down. But that Lightning Storm got a whole lot of work done. Still a few Typhoons on the field. Question is whether they're enough to actually get through this Rhino. Well, with the Rhino getting the debuff, should be Narayan's round. Yeah, Marksman doing good work. Okay. That Wraith play there by the Narayan, just to get the Typhoons locking onto it, very smart. Very, very smart. Redeployment for erconu, very powerful. I think I'd be surprised if Narayan doesn't click it. Could see a Sledgehammer production line play as well, but you gotta think redeploy is too strong to ignore. And there it is indeed. Okay. Typhoon getting moved. That was insta-locking onto the Wraith. Just pulled all the way off to the flank onto the main line. We have a rank 3 marksman on the left now, as well as a rank 2. Okay, range finally coming in for the arc lights. I've kind of been expecting a side gun click on the saber for a little while now. They do have the money to go for side gun and some chaff. Narayan ahead on upgrades. Woo, redeploying that Wraith into a deep flank along with this Crawler. Crawler's going to get missiled, but then the Wraith is going to have some easy access into the tower. I expect that to likely be fast enough to get in, plus a beacon. So, yeah, that tower's not going to live too long once that Wraith spawns. I saw another Typhoon come down. I think they undid. Phoenix. Is the Phoenix going to be placed midfield? I think that turns. Yeah, that should turn. Okay. So Wraith should get answered here. Yep, both Phoenix turns. So that is a quick pop on the Wraith. Very nice. Yep, Phoenix is also going to help out with the other Wraith on defense here. Going to get those Typhoons back to shooting at things they'd rather shoot at. That's going to be the tower for erconu, who is putting together a very nice display of aggression. And that is a convincing round win. Narayan down to 2,000 health. Ooh, round 6 unit drop. Stormcaller. It's not quite an open tower Stormcaller play. Vulcan seems unlikely. They both seem to have chosen their chaff clear units. Hounds, again, also unlikely. Farseer, potentially for erconu, maybe covering the left-hand side. Farseer for both players. Could also be the Cell. I believe the Farseer was the most value there. Wraith getting moved back from the flank. Makes sense. It's just going to get killed by the Phoenix again. It looks like both players are wanting to add the Farseers to their boards with range and degen beam coming out on Narayan's race. And there is the armor on the steel balls. Was wondering about that. I'm curious how much longer that's going to keep the steel balls alive versus the Badgers here. Phoenix added to the bottom left by erconu. Looks like their flank should be pretty secure now, as well as another Phoenix behind this Farseer. Narayan sold off their Rhino, so that does open up some pretty scary flanking opportunities for erconu if they want to go for it next round. Ooh, beaconing the Badger away. Both of the Badgers away, or at least 5 out of 6. Very cool, very nice, very smart. No, it's Narayan. Very cool, smart, nice. Right. G-Gen slowing the balls coming in a bit. Okay. That rank 3 Farseer actually doing a lot of work against the Phoenix and the Typhoons, and looks like Narayan has shored up their defense and figure out exactly how they're looking to answer this flank. It's 2100 for erconu. So the question is whether or not erconu can actually exploit the left-hand tower. Deployment module available. Don't necessarily expect that. Efficient light manufacturing? It's not going even till round 8. I find it very unlikely that either player would pick it. Steel ball production for erconu. We'll have to see what giant he wants. And he wants the Raiden. That makes a lot of sense here. It's good against the Badgers. Can absolutely get through the Wraiths. This is a level 4 Farseer with AA potentially, though. So you have to imagine it's an instant range click on these Raidens, who are running Ionized Chain EMP. Ooh, oil. Backup for Narayan. Levels across the board. Yeah, this is a scary Farseer. Doing what, 12k a shot? So that's 2-shotting these Raidens. That was a move from the Typhoon on the flank, just reinforcing the front here. Crawler was my deployment module. Over onto the flank here from Narayan, just trying to do any stall they can for this flank. Raidens make sense. Still a little surprised Narayan didn't try something over here, but identifying some problems. Ignite picked up on the Badgers. I'm guessing that's mostly in response to the field maintenance on the Sabres, as well as general ground giant threat. But it is the Raidens. I'm really worried these Raidens aren't going to be long for this world, as this Farseer is about to lock onto it, and there's 1-shot, 2-shot, and the first Raiden's down. I think without range, I don't know what these Raidens are going to be able to accomplish, and it looks like Narayan is just crushing the board here. So the question is, does Raiden range even fix the board at this point, right? Oh, orbital bombardment might fix the board, although orbital also picked up for Narayan, and it's their ion round. erconu still hasn't picked up beacon yet. Could definitely... I mean, it seems like an easy beacon here. Get these guys out of the way. We have a boat coming in. Further diversifying the giant board. Although that is an expensive boat. 700 plus photon coming out. I'm not... I guess photon in just to try to block out the degen beam isn't the worst idea. This is also... It's at least Ion Blast, if not a double spell round. This feels... Ooh, a little scary. A little scary. Would love to see range on the Raidens. This one on the side getting moved. On the side towards the center. Moved back a little bit. It's still going to fly into that Ion. I guess they were more concerned with just not getting it locked super quickly by the Farseer. 3 Eliteed Marksmen coming onto the field. There's once more anti-air, I suppose. Shield for both players. Gotta kind of gotta imagine this Ion, ooh, it is just wrecking house, and it's looking like this is gonna be Narayan's game. Yeah, Orbital did a good amount of clearing, actually. Ooh, with the debuff, Raiden does not get through the farce here. And that's going to be game for Narayan. So that should be Narayan going up 1-0 over erconu. And boom. Yeah. I don't know why that makes me so happy, but I don't mind. I don't mind. All right. Packs coming in here. Training spec marksman. Always fun. Always fun. Giant spec. You don't like to see Arclights with the giant spec. You usually want to go into the Vulcans, but you can play, you know, Arclight Worm Raiden, that kind of a thing. Also fine. Training spec, Spider Marksman picked up for kind of Narayan. Elite spec. I was looking at that for a second there. All right. Let's. Yeah. Yeah. I got the camera. I got it. All right. Move down just a bit. And something like that. All right, cool. Tarantula's Marksman on the line. No Assman on the bar. Arclight's coming out from Narayan, who's playing another defensive game. So, technically, erconu could set up on either side here. I guess wall. So they sold their wall off with the extra money from training spec. Yes, pushing into a wall plus a small turret is still tough for the spiders. You'd have to put one of the spiders up front to tank the turret, usually. So, choosing to play into the anti-armor cannon. But with the addition of these Arclights, I don't know, you'd have to give... I feel like I gotta give Narayan a bit of an advantage here, right? Spider's not quite as tanky as those sabers and just don't get through... don't deal damage quite as fast against the larger units. Yep. Spider's getting taken out pretty quickly between the marksman and the anti-armor cannon. And pretty convincing round one from Narayan. Alright, spells coming in. Missile Strike, EMP. Quick Teleport, always great as an aggressive player. Would be surprised if that wasn't picked up, but Missile Strike also makes a lot of sense. That'll actually take out both of the marksmen, you know? I didn't even notice that one. So, erconu definitely wanting to retake tempo this round. Ooh, Narayan with the bubble. Really respecting that spell. EMP was also offered, right? EMP's not a huge hit this round, not with, you know, no techs on the board in a pretty short-range game. But, still, respecting it, respecting the missile. I wonder, I think this marksman is going to continue. They might actually turn. Interesting, interesting, okay. Two backs of crawlers getting added onto the flank. And the tarantula level from the training spec picked up. Okay, yeah, the outside marksman did turn, at least for the first couple of shots. See if this rank 2 tarantula can get much of anything done. Certainly got through the sledges that it targeted a little faster, but still, it's not quite enough DPS. And Narayan with a solidly shaping up defense. Alright. Wasp on the board, Badger's available. Could see Sabers. You know, I think all of these cards do have some play. I don't know if Sabers are the strongest offensive choice for erconu. On Narayan's side, they already have 3 level 2 Arclights established. Very unlikely they're going Badger. Wasp or Phoenix makes sense. I think it's likely Wasp or Phoenix from both players. erconu is going for the Sabers, though. Hopefully that extra DPS will be enough for him to start punching through. adding on a Fang, wanting to respect the Wasp, makes sense, help this marksman out. So, at this point, Erconu does have some very, very late tower take potential. Narayan went for the Badgers again, which makes a lot of sense, just a really strong unit, especially in these shorter range games. Okay, no. I just didn't. The marksman got covered up by the Arclight's star, and I was like, oh no, did they sell the marksman? Why would you do that? But that's all very reasonable. Another Arclight coming out to answer the deep flank crawlers. Double shot picked up on the sabers. Is that the play here? I believe it'll allow them to one-shot. Does it allow them to one-shot rank 2 Arclights? I think it does. If not, it's extremely close. I'll have to look at the numbers after this round to see what breakpoints that hits, but it feels like probably would have been better off with side guns, if anything. Still, Sabers getting through the sledges, getting through these Fire Badgers a bit. But it looks like the chaff clear is a bit of a problem for Erconu. And just hasn't been able to put together the proper aggressive force to take this down. Your Arclight seems unlikely. You could take it, though, and just never click range on the Arclights. Does save a little bit of cash. I think you're up, what? Because it's like 300. You still save quite a bit. Improved firepower could make sense. Improved firepower for Erconu, who is going into a hacker line. Alright, yes, this does 7,800, which is already one-shotting the Badgers and Sledges. You do need double shot to one-shot the rank 2 Arclights. But other than that, yeah, it feels like side guns would have done a lot more. It's at 2,000 per, so they can two-shot Sledges. I don't know. Hey, Spade. Badger sitting 8 behind Sledges. Right behind Sledges is me wanting to see Scorpions for the dopamine. Scorpion's looking strong here. Raiden also could have been cool. I don't mind the hacker pickup, though, right? This is still essentially a medium board. Hacker's pretty strong into that. No range, although this one does have the improved firepower control. And 110 is still enough without any real range tech, save the marksman range picked up. But for sure, Scorpion would have made a lot of sense here as well. Adding a Fang here. There's no way they transition into carry Fang, right? Oh! Improved missile is insane. They took... Yeah, I'm not crazy. That was advanced missile device. Good lord, the hackers got one shot by the missiles, and this round is so over. Oh no. Oh, brutal. Oh no. Oh dear. Laser sights, amp core, anti-interference. Big red blast seems maybe a little early. Could pick it up for Narayan. Don't see it getting a ton accomplished for Erconu here. Anti-interference module picked up though. Yep. Very useful. Become immune to hackers. Oh, those poor hackers. I guess the hackers get one shot even by the regular missile. But like, seeing the sabers basically just go up. Oh no. Wild, yeah, this tarantula got obliterated. Do you have to see, you don't have anti-missile on the sabers available. Okay, so Erconu did go for the big EMP. It's gonna hit a lot of stuff, I think anti-interference... Yeah, covers EMP as well. So, what exactly happens when the hacker fires out the anti-interference module unit? I think I've only seen it a couple of times, and it seems like the hacker just literally does no damage and just gets bricked on it, which is kind of brutal. Anti-missile devices coming in. Definitely can't afford to take more of those sentry missile hits. range on the arc lights. Got a rank 3 already, and round 5 oil. So a little bit later oil coming out from Narayan than the last game. Ooh, actually, they sold one of the Badgers off, so they're really relying on this oil to get a lot done here. Unless they're wanting to stay in the arc lights longer term. Okay. Hackers hacking the things. Okay, one Badger taken over. And 2. Not going to be enough here, though. You can see the idea with the hackers. It does make sense against the board, but the fire is just brutal. Thankfully, erconu does keep up their anti-missile devices. Their health falls to the number of the beast. Scorpions here. Scorpion still playable for erconu, but let's see. Just marksman right now for the DPS coming out of Narayan. Okay, Farseers picked up for erconu. One is getting sold off. Second Badger sold off for Narayan as they also pick up the Farseers. Would love to see Narayan apply weak tower pressure to close out. Yeah, for sure. This tower can absolutely be stabbed at. I think we saw that last game as well. There was certainly an opening to get into the tower, and they chose to continue, you know, placing. That is a lot of missiles. That's a whole... Is that... Okay, so there's 2 there, 1 there. This is erconu's, and these are Narayans. So one of these should get through the missile interceptor. This one... Okay, yeah, so just doubling up, tripling up. Was this tripled up as well? So, I mean, those are going to get through the missile interceptors. So... Oh, this is looking like game. There's Narayan with the masterclass defense. Range picked up on the Farseers. Photon Farseers coming in. Not sure exactly what the Photon's for here. I guess just the extra stats. But I don't think it's going to be enough. These missiles just end the game. Ooh, the Crawlers! Absorbing the missiles on the left, but the Hacker Tarantula getting taken out on the right. Clank getting cleared very, very quickly still. And again, erconu with a bit of a chaff clear problem. His DPS just can't connect, and that's going to be game for Narayan. Well played. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Spade. Yeah, you had seen Narayan, mentioned Narayan applying tower pressure, not erconu. Sorry, my brain defaulted like, ah yes, aggro player, spread out. But no, for sure, this is a very vulnerable tower as well. Yeah.